Hey friends, this is Geo and Copilot, and we're introducing our newest team player. His name's Bentley. He's my new Yorkshire Terrier. The official weight at the vet was 3.4 pounds, and he's 26 weeks old. So everybody, welcome him to the team. Today we have a queer rom-com about music, courage, and rooftop connections in Camden Town, where a junior legal assistant discovers love, purpose, and the sound of his real life. Chapter 1. I got home just after 7, the sky still bright over Camden Town. Early June carried that warm edge, the kind that made the pavement smell like sun-heated stone. I pushed open the door to my flat and caught the scent of baked apples drifting up the stairwell. Someone downstairs was making an apple charlotte, and it hit me right in the chest. I hadn't tasted it since my mom made it on Sundays. I shook it off and headed up to the rooftop. My guitar case bumped against my leg with every step. I told myself I was going up there to practice, but really, I just wanted the quiet. The city hummed below, buses, chatter, a distant siren. It steadied me. When I stepped onto the roof, I saw him. Saf, the new tenant. He sat on the low wall near the chimney, legs crossed, wearing black jeans and a loose gray shirt that caught the breeze. His hair fell over one eye, and he pushed it back without looking up. He was eating something from a small bowl, oatmeal with baked apples, judging by the smell. "Didn't know anyone else came up here," I said. He glanced over, spoon halfway to his mouth. "Your landlord said it was communal. Hope that's all right." His voice had a sharp rasp, like he'd been singing all day. Probably had. Underground indie musicians didn't get much rest. "Yeah, it's fine," I said. "I just come up to play sometimes." He nodded at the guitar case. "You any good?" I laughed once. "Not really." He studied me for a second longer than necessary. "You look like someone who's better than he thinks." The words landed harder than they should have. I sat down a few feet away, the warmth of the evening settling around us. Quiet longing filled the space between us, steady and real. Chapter 2. Saf scraped the last bit of baked apples from his bowl while I tuned my guitar. The sky over Camden Town shifted toward a deeper blue, the air cooling just enough to raise the hairs on my arms. I pulled my hoodie tighter and tried not to stare at him. He set the bowl aside. "You always practice alone?" "Mostly," I said. "It's easier not to disappoint anyone that way." He let out a short breath, almost a laugh. "You think playing in front of someone is about perfection?" "It helps," I said. He shook his head. "It's about connection. That's the whole point. Music doesn't mean anything until someone hears it." I looked down at the strings. My fingers hovered, waiting for courage. "I'm not sure anyone wants to hear me." Saf leaned back on his hands, watching me with a steady expression. "You want to be in a band, right?" I froze. "Who told you that?" "Your landlord," he said. "Said you're always up here, playing after work. Said you've got talent but no confidence." I groaned. "Great." Saf smiled, small and warm. "Look, Kit, hiding your voice doesn't protect you. It just keeps you from the people who might actually get it." The words hit something inside me. Not sharp, just honest. The rooftop felt quieter, even with the city noise below. He nudged the empty bowl with his foot. "You know what my mom used to say? If you want sweetness, you've got to heat things up first. She said it about baked apples, but it works for everything." I laughed under my breath. "So what's your point?" "That you don't get connection without risk," he said, "and you don't get love without being heard." The words settled between us, warm as the last scent of apples drifting through the air. Chapter 3. Saf and I stayed on the rooftop longer than I meant to. The air cooled as the evening settled in, and the lights along Camden High Street flicked on one by one. I strummed a few chords. Nothing fancy. Just enough to keep my hands busy. "You live alone?" he asked. "Yeah, 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen. The oven barely fits a tray of baked apples." I didn't mean to bring that up, but the smell still lingered in the air, warm and sweet. He smiled. "You make them often?" "Only when I'm stressed," I said, "or when I'm trying to feel grounded." "Then you must have made a lot lately." I shrugged. "Work's been rough, and I keep thinking about auditioning for a band, but I never follow through." Saf shifted closer, just a few centimeters. "What stops you?" "Fear," I said, "and the idea of someone actually listening." He nodded like he understood. Blackcurrant Trapeze started in a basement with 3 people who didn't know what they were doing. We just kept showing up. I looked at him. "You make it sound simple." "It isn't," he said, "but it's real." A breeze moved across the rooftop, carrying the faint scent of apples again. Saf pulled his knees up and rested his arms on them. His shirt slipped off one shoulder, revealing a thin leather bracelet. It looked worn, like he'd had it for years. "You know," he said, "I moved here because I needed a reset. New city, new flat, new people. I didn't expect to meet someone who plays guitar on the roof at sunset." I felt heat rise in my face. "Sorry to disappoint." "You haven't," he said quietly. The words settled between us, steady and warm, marking the start of something I wasn't ready to name yet. Chapter 4. By the next morning, the warmth from the rooftop had faded, replaced by the stiff collar of my suit and the weight of another day at the firm. The office sat near Holborn, all glass doors and quiet hallways. I swiped in at 8:30 sharp, already wishing I were anywhere else. As a junior legal assistant, I handled the jobs no one wanted: photocopying, filing, scheduling, and chasing signatures from partners who barely looked at me. I dropped my bag under my desk and booted up my computer. The screen glowed too bright. The inbox already full. "Morning, Kit," said Marla from the next desk. She wore a navy blazer and carried a mug that smelled faintly of cinnamon. "Morning," I said. "You look tired." "Late night," I said, "practicing." She raised an eyebrow. "Guitar boy strikes again." I shrugged and opened a document that needed formatting. The work was dull, but it paid the rent. Still, every time I clicked through another contract, I felt the same tightness in my chest, like I was wasting something I couldn't name. Around 10, I took a breath in the tiny kitchenette. Someone had left a container of baked apple oatmeal in the fridge with a sticky note. "Free!" The smell reminded me of the rooftop, of Saf's quiet voice, and the way he'd looked at me like I wasn't invisible. I heated a small portion and leaned against the counter. The warmth of the apples settled me more than the job ever did. Marla walked in. "Thinking about auditioning again?" I hesitated. "Maybe." She gave me a small smile. "You should. You're better than this place." Her words echoed Saf's from the night before. For the first time in months, the idea didn't feel impossible. Chapter 5. By the time I got home that evening, my suit felt like a punishment. I loosened the tie before I even reached the stairs. The rooftop called to me, but I hesitated at the door. Part of me wanted to see Saf again. The other part wasn't sure I could handle whatever he'd say next. I went inside instead and dropped my bag on the kitchen table. The flat was warm from the late sun. The windows cracked open to let in the Camden noise. Laughter from the street, a bus rumbling past, someone playing a rough guitar riff 2 buildings over. It made my chest tighten. I pulled out the leftover baked apple oatmeal from the fridge. The scent rose as I warmed it, steady and familiar. I ate standing up, staring at my guitar leaning against the wall. I should have picked it up. I didn't. Instead, I argued with myself. You should go upstairs. You'll make a fool of yourself. He said you're better than you think. He barely knows you. You want connection. You're not ready for it. I sat the empty bowl in the sink and rubbed my face with both hands. The day at the firm had drained me, but the rooftop felt like the only place I could breathe. And Sav? He made things feel possible in a way I didn't trust yet. I grabbed my guitar case before I could talk myself out of it. Halfway up the stairs, I stopped again. My heart thudded hard, like it wanted to turn me around. I stood there, caught between the flat and the sky, between the fear and something warmer. Then I heard footsteps above me. A soft voice drifted down. Kit, you coming up? Chapter 6. Sav was already on the rooftop when I stepped out, the sky fading into a soft blue-gray. He sat cross-legged with his guitar, tuning it with quick, practiced movement. A small container sat beside him, and the warm scent of baked apples drifted up. I saved you some, he said, nudging it toward me. I sat beside him, closer than last time. The warmth from the apples mixed with the cool evening air, settling me in a way the office never could. I took a bite. Sweet, steady, grounding. Ready to jam? He asked. I'll try, I said. He grinned. Trying counts. We started slow. I played a simple progression, and he layered a soft rhythm over it. Our sounds fit together easier than I expected. The city noise below blended with us, distant chatter, a bus braking, someone laughing on the street. It all felt like part of the song. Sav leaned in, listening closely. Hold that chord, he said. His fingers brushed mine as he adjusted my hand. The touch was light, but it sent a warm pulse through me. We kept playing, trading small riffs, laughing when one of us slipped. The sky darkened, and the rooftop lights flicked on, casting a soft glow around us. At one point, he stopped playing and looked at me. Really looked. You sound good tonight, he said. So do you. He set his guitar down. I did the same. The space between us felt charged, but not sharp, just full. You know, he said quietly, I like this, playing with you. I swallowed. Yeah, me too. He leaned in first, slow enough for me to pull back. I didn't. The kiss was warm, steady, real, like baked apples on a cool night, like something I'd been waiting for without knowing it. When we pulled apart, the city hummed below us, and everything felt possible. Chapter 7. The morning after the rooftop kiss, I woke up with a tight mix of nerves and something lighter. I made oatmeal with baked apples, trying to steady myself before work. Every spoonful reminded me of Saf's smile, the way he'd leaned in like he meant it. On the walk to the tube, my phone buzzed, a message from Marla. You're late. Partner wants you. Something about a call. My stomach dropped. I hurried through the station, weaving past commuters and a busker in a tie-dyed t-shirt playing a rough acoustic cover of a song I half recognized. The sound followed me down the escalator, steady and raw. When I reached the office, Marla waved me over. You've got a voicemail, she said. From someone named Lay? My heart kicked. Lay? As in Saffron Lay? He's my neighbor. She shrugged, said it was about music. I ducked into an empty conference room and hit play. Hey, Kit, it's Saf. Sorry to call your work, but my phone's acting up. Listen, my band's manager wants to hear you. I played him a clip from last night. He thinks you've got something. No pressure, but if you want to come by the studio tonight, we can jam properly. I stared at the phone, pulse racing. A studio? A manager? Someone who actually wanted to hear me? The door opened, and Marla peeked in. Everything okay? I think so, I said. I got invited to a studio. Her face lit up. Kit, that's huge. I nodded, still stunned. The fear was there, but it didn't feel as heavy. Not after last night. Not after the kiss. His kiss. I saved the voicemail and slipped the phone into my pocket. For the first time in a long time, the day ahead didn't feel like a cage. It felt like a door. Chapter 8. I met Saf outside the studio just after 7. The sun hung low over Camden Town, warm enough that I didn't need a jacket. He leaned against the brick wall, guitar case at his feet, hair pulled back loosely. When he saw me, his whole face lit up. "You came," he said. "Yeah," I said. "Didn't want to chicken out." He nudged my shoulder. "Good. I made you something." He handed me a small container. Warm, sweet. Baked apples with a little oatmeal mixed in. "For courage," he said. I took a bite. The taste settled my nerves, steady and familiar. "Thanks." Inside, the studio smelled like old wood, cables and coffee. Posters from past gigs lined the walls. A sound engineer waved from behind the glass. Saf introduced me to the band. Emery on bass, Jax on drums, and Theo on keys. They all looked effortlessly cool in that underground musician way. "This is Kit," Saf said. "He's got something." I tried not to panic at the attention. Emery handed me a spare guitar. "Let's hear you," she said. We started with a simple progression. My hands shook at first, but the band eased into it, filling the room with a warm, pulsing rhythm. Saf joined in, his voice low and steady. The sound wrapped around me, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was playing alone. "Nice," Jack said when we finished. "You've got tone." Theo nodded. "And timing." I felt heat rise in my face. "Thanks." We tried another song, one of theirs. Saf taught me the chords directly, tapping my wrist when I hesitated. His touch was light, grounding. We played through the chorus twice, and something clicked. The room felt alive, buzzing with energy. After an hour, we took a break on the rooftop terrace. The city stretched out below, lights flickering on as the sky darkened. Saf handed me a bottle of water. "You're doing great," he said. "I'm trying not to overthink it," I replied. He laughed softly. "You're allowed to enjoy yourself, you know." I looked at him. "I am." He leaned against the railing, close enough that our arms brushed. "The manager likes you," he said. "He thinks you could fit with us. Maybe not full-time yet, but something." My heart thudded. "Seriously?" "Seriously." We stood there in the warm June air, the city humming below. I felt lighter than I had in months. The music, the band, the rooftop kiss. It all swirled together into something that felt like possibility. Saf bumped my shoulder again. "You know, Kit, you shine when you stop hiding." I swallowed. "I'm trying." "You're doing more than that." He reached for my hand. I let him take it. For a moment, everything felt easy. Music, warmth, connection. Fun and games, sure, but also something real, steady, and growing. We finished the last run through just after 9. My fingers ached in a good way, the kind that told me I'd actually pushed myself. The band gathered around the mixing desk while the manager, a tall guy named Rowan, replayed a clip from our session. My guitar line came through, clean, confident, like someone I barely recognized. Rowan nodded. "You've got something, kid. If you want, we can bring you in for a trial set next month, see how you fit on stage." My breath caught. A real offer? Not a dream? Not a maybe? An actual step forward? "Yeah," I said. "I'd like that." Saf grinned at me, bright and proud. "Told you." The warmth in my chest spread fast. For a moment, everything lined up. Music, possibility. The rooftop kiss still humming under my skin. I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years. But the moment shifted when Rowan added, "It'll mean late nights, travel, rehearsals. You'll need to commit." The words hit harder than I expected. My job at the firm flashed through my mind. The deadlines, the partners, the suit and tie, the stability I hated but relied on. Saf must have seen something change in my face. "Hey," he said softly, "you okay?" "Yeah," I said, though my stomach tightened. "Just thinking." We packed up and stepped outside. The night air was cool, carrying the faint smell of street food and warm apples from a nearby stall. Saf walked beside me, close enough that our hands brushed. "You don't have to decide tonight," he said. "I know." But the truth settled in my chest. This wasn't just a chance. It was a turning point, a win big enough to scare me, a shift big enough to change everything, to change my life. Chapter 10. The next morning, I walked into the firm feeling lighter than I had in months. The studio offer still buzzed under my skin. I even hummed a bit on the tube, earning a few looks from commuters who clearly weren't ready for joy at 8:30. But the moment I stepped into the office, the air shifted. "Harwood," Mr. Pritchard called from his doorway. His voice was clipped, the kind that made everyone sit straighter. "In my office, now." I followed him inside, stomach tightening. "We've had a scheduling disaster," he said, dropping a stack of files on his desk. "A client meeting was moved up. I need these organized, cross-checked, and summarized by tonight." "Tonight?" I asked. I had plans." He gave me a flat look. "This is your job, Harwood. If you want to keep it, you stay." The words hit like a cold slap. I thought of the studio, the band, the way Saf had looked at me under the rooftop lights, the version of myself I was starting to believe in. Pritchard tapped the files. "You're a junior assistant. This is what you're here for." I nodded, throat tight. "Yes, sir." Back at my desk, Marla slid me a sympathetic glance. "He's in a mood," she whispered. "You okay?" "Not really," I said. At lunch, I ate the last of the baked apple oatmeal I'd packed from home. The warmth helped, but only a little. My phone buzzed. Saf. "Studio tonight. I got a new idea I want you to try." I stared at the message, heart sinking. I typed back slowly. "I might be late. Work stuff. I'm sorry." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. The job tightened around me like a collar I couldn't loosen. And for the first time, I hated it enough to want out. Chapter 11. By mid-afternoon, the office felt like a trap. The stack of files on my desk never seemed to shrink. No matter how fast I typed or how many summaries I finished, at 5, I stood to grab my bag. But Pritchard appeared beside my desk like he'd been waiting for the moment. "Harwood, we're behind. The client wants everything first thing tomorrow. You're staying." My stomach dropped. "I have somewhere I need to be." He didn't blink. "Then cancel it." The words landed like a door slamming shut. I sat back down, throat tight, and opened another document. The office emptied out around me. Lights clicked off one by one. Marla paused on her way out. "You sure you'll be okay?" "I don't have a choice," I said. She squeezed my shoulder and left. The silence that followed felt heavy. I worked through dinner, through sunset, through the moment I should have been walking into the studio with my guitar on my back. My phone buzzed twice. Saf, then Emery. But I didn't look. I couldn't. By 10:30, my eyes burned. I finished the last summary, saved the file, and shut down my computer with shaking hands. The tube ride home was a blur of tired faces and stale air. When I finally stepped onto my street, the night was warm, the windows above glowing softly. I climbed the stairs to my flat, each step heavier than the last. The rooftop was quiet, no music, no laughter, no Saf. Inside, the flat smelled faintly of the baked apple oatmeal I'd made that morning. I hadn't touched it. I dropped my bag, loosened my tie, and sat on the edge of the bed. The silence pressed in. I'd missed everything. And for the first time, I wondered if my dreams were simply out of reach. Chapter 12. The next day at the firm felt like a repeat of the worst parts of my life. I walked in tired, still carrying the weight of missing the studio session. I told myself maybe tonight I could make it up to Saf. Maybe I could show up early, bring baked apple oatmeal as a peace offering, try again. But at 5:15, just as I reached for my bag, Pritchard appeared beside my desk with another stack of files, taller than yesterday's. He dropped them with a thud that made Marla flinch. "Harwood," he said, "client wants these reviewed before morning." My throat tightened. "Sir, I stayed late last night. He cut me off. "Then you should be warmed up." I stared at the pile. "I have plans." He gave a thin smile. "Not anymore." It was the same trap as before, only heavier. The office lights dimmed as people packed up. Chairs scraped, doors clicked shut. Marla lingered. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "I know," I said, "but he doesn't care." She hesitated. "Do you want me to stay?" I shook my head. "Go home. No point in both of us being miserable." She squeezed my arm and left. The silence that followed felt colder than the night before. I worked through dinner again, through sunset again, through the hour I should have been walking into the studio with my guitar. At 10:30, my phone buzzed. "Saf, are you okay?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. By 11, I finally shut down my computer, hand shaking. The tube ride home felt endless. When I reached my flat, the rooftop was dark. No music, no warmth, no Saf. I sat on the kitchen floor, staring at the cold baked apple oatmeal I'd meant to bring him. Everything I wanted felt far away, and for the first time, I wasn't sure I could ever reach it. Chapter 13. The next day was worse. I kept checking my phone on the tube, at my desk, in the kitchenette. Nothing from Saf, no call, no text, not even a red receipt. I tried once in the morning, twice at lunch, and again around 4. "Hey, are you okay? Did I mess up? Please, tell me you're all right." All unanswered. By 5, I was wound tight enough to snap. I grabbed my bag, ready to bolt the second the clock hit the hour. But Pritchard appeared beside my desk with another stack of files, taller than yesterday's. He dropped them with a thud. "Harwood," he said, "client wants these reviewed tonight." My chest tightened. "Sir, I've stayed late 2 nights in a row. He cut me off with a thin smile. "Do you want to keep your job?" The words hit harder this time, not because of the work, but because I knew Saf wouldn't be waiting. I wasn't even sure he cared. The office emptied out. Marla mouthed, "I'm sorry," as she left. I stayed until 10:30 again, eyes burning, hands shaking. When I finally shut down my computer, I felt hollow. The tube ride home blurred past. Camden Town was quiet when I stepped onto the street, the warm June air doing nothing to lift the weight in my chest. Inside my flat, I loosened my tie and sat on the edge of the bed. My guitar leaned against the wall, waiting. I picked it up and strummed a few chords, but the sound felt thin, like it belonged to someone else. I set it down gently. For the first time since meeting Saf, the music didn't reach me. Chapter 14. I sat on the edge of my bed, guitar across my lap, fingers resting on the strings without pressing. The notes felt flat before they even left my hands. I tried again, softer this time, but the sound still didn't reach me. I set the guitar down and rubbed my eyes. The flat felt too quiet, too heavy. I needed air. I walked out onto the street, the warm June night brushing against my face. Camden Town was calmer at this hour, the pubs thinning out, the buses running slower. I wandered without thinking, just letting my feet move. That's when I heard it. A soft, bright ukulele line drifting from the corner near the canal. I turned and saw him. An old man with white hair, a loud tie-dye shirt, board shorts, and sandals. A surfboard leaned against the railing behind him like it had followed him inland out of loyalty. His ukulele case sat open at his feet, a dozen coins scattered inside. He looked up as I approached. "Evening," he said, voice warm and worn. "You look like someone carrying too much." I let out a breath. "Rough week." He nodded, strumming a gentle chord. "Work?" "Yeah." "Love?" "Maybe." He smiled like he already knew. "Name's Carrie." "Kit." He played a few more notes, then said, "You know, Kit, life's short, but regret is long. People think the safe path keeps them whole. Really, it just keeps them small." The truth snapped against me like a rubber band. Carrie leaned in, slightly. "If something makes your heart louder, you follow it. Jobs come and go. Moments don't." I swallowed. "What if I mess up?" He shrugged. "Then you get up and play again." The ukulele line drifted through the warm air, steady and sure. I swallowed hard, surprised at the ache it stirred. Chapter 15. The next morning, I walked into the firm with Carrie's words still echoing in my head. Life's short, regret is long. I felt tired, but something inside me had shifted. I wasn't willing to be small anymore. At 5:01, I stood and reached for my bag. My heart thudded, but I didn't sit back down. Right on cue, Pritchard appeared beside my desk with another stack of files. "Harwood," he said, "client wants these reviewed tonight." I looked at the pile, then at him. "No." He blinked. "Excuse me?" "I said no," I repeated. "I've stayed late 3 nights in a row. I've done everything you asked. I'm not staying tonight." His jaw tightened. "Do you want to keep your job?" I took a slow breath. "Not like this." For a moment, the whole office seemed to hold still. Pritchard stared at me like he couldn't believe I'd spoken. Then he scoffed and walked away, muttering something under his breath. My hands shook as I grabbed my bag, but the shaking felt like release, not fear. I left the building and stepped inside the warm June air. The sky was soft and blue, the city humming around me. I didn't know if I still had a job. I didn't know what tomorrow would look like, but I knew where I needed to go. I took the tube back to Camden Town and climbed the stairs to the rooftop. My heart pounded the whole way. When I pushed the door open, Saf was there, sitting with his guitar, staring out over the city. He looked up, surprised. "Kit?" I crossed the rooftop toward him. "I'm sorry," I said. "I should have been here." He stood slowly. "I thought you were done with me." "Never," I said. "I just forgot who I was for a minute." Saf's expression softened. "You're here now." "Yeah," I said, "and I'm not going anywhere." The rooftop lights flicked on, warm and steady. We stepped toward each other, and the night opened up. Epilogue. A week later, the firm felt like a distant memory. I hadn't gone back. Pritchard sent 2 emails, then stopped. Marla texted me a thumbs up and, "Run while you can," which felt like closure. Most mornings, I made baked apple oatmeal and ate it on the rooftop with Saf. The city looked different from up there now. Less like a maze, more like a place I could actually live in. One afternoon, as I was tuning my guitar in the flat, my phone buzzed. Saf, you free tonight? The band wants you at rehearsal. My stomach flipped. I typed back before I could overthink it. I'll be there. The studio was warm when I arrived. Lights low, cable snaking across the floor. Emery waved me in. Jax tapped a rhythm on the snare. Theo adjusted the keyboard patch. Daff stood in the center, guitar slung over his shoulder, smiling like he'd been waiting for me. You made it, he said. Yeah, I said. I'm done hiding. He stepped closer, brushing his fingers against mine. Good, we saved you a spot. The band launched into a new song, bright, steady, full of room for me to find my place. I joined in slowly, then with more confidence. The sound wrapped around us, warm and alive. During a break, Emery nudged me. You sticking around? I looked at Saf, who was watching me with that quiet, steady pride I still wasn't used to. Yeah, I said. I think I am. We played until the sky outside turned deep blue. When we finally stepped onto the rooftop terrace, the city hummed below us. Saf laced his fingers with mine. Welcome to the band, he said. And for the first time, it felt like the beginning of something real. Thank you, friends, for joining us on our night of music and love. I'm Gio, and I love you all. Bentley says hi. Peace, my friends. Until next time.